Hi, I'm James Robinson, and this is my stock pick of the week. My pick this week is Electronic Arts, symbol EA, but you probably know it as EA Sports if you're a gamer. So if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that I bought this stock on May 5th for $116.55 a share. I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to post this video. I've just been busy with some other stuff. But this is the part where I tell you that if you do follow me on Twitter, you'll find out whenever I buy or sell stocks in real time. You'll also get articles, you get notices that I think are interesting about our portfolio, and you'll get notices about videos when I post them, etc., etc. So, costs nothing. Follow me on Twitter. The Twitter symbol is @RobinsonStocks. This video will be the first in a 5-part series on EA. We're going to cover the overview of the company this time. Then we'll do operations, do a deep look at the balance sheet. We'll talk about the company's dividends, and we'll talk about the company's propensity to create wealth for the shareholders. The company develops and publishes games and services across a wide variety of genres. They do sports games and first-person shooters, action games, role-playing games, and simulations. Some of their titles are Battlefield, The Sims, Apex Legends, Anthem, Need for Speed, and Plants vs. Zombies. They also license games. So they do FIFA soccer, which is very big around the world. They do Madden football for the NFL. And they also have a Star Wars brand. So pretty well, those things are very well known in the gaming world. And pretty much every man I know has or has played Madden. And the great thing about a sport like FIFA and Madden is that every single year they get to sell a new version of the game because all the players trade teams. And so if you want to have the latest teams, you have to have the latest version of the game. And so it's this great franchise that just spews money year after year after year. They also provide advertising services and license its games to third parties to distribute and to host its games. The company markets and sells its games through a wide variety of sources. Most of that is digital, but they also sell through retail channels, mass market retailers, electronic specialty stores, and game software specialty stores. Electronic Arts was founded back in 1982. They're headquartered in Redwood City, Florida, and they have 16,200 employees. So I bought the stock back on May 5th, but these stats today are for today, or May 23rd, 2020. The company has a market cap of $34.59 billion. They have revenues of $5.54 billion, and this is amazing, but profits of $3 billion. So over 60% of their revenue falls to the bottom line as net profits, which is just spectacular. The company's PE ratio is 11.63. That's pretty low. The company doesn't pay a dividend, which is one of the downers. I don't understand why they don't, but they don't. And the company, however, only has $996 billion in long-term debt. As I discuss every time I go over the overview section of a company, I grade a company in 29 broad areas. Those areas can be broken into 3 categories. 9 of the things that I look at are operating, and that has to do with how good a job the company does at delivering goods and services to their customers. 10 issues have to do with financial issues, which is really how much company has, which is really look at the company's balance sheet, how strong they are financially, how much debt they have, how much that debt might pose a risk to us as shareholders in the long term. And the third area that I look at is management, and management is how good a job the company does at enriching its shareholders, whether they pay dividends, buy back stock, pay down debt, what they're doing with their profits, and how that money is being effectively used for our benefit. So the grade for operating this company is good, 3.33. The management is only slightly above average, 2.7, which means they're not directly doing a good job of enriching the shareholders. The grade for financial is 3.5, which is excellent. The total grade, the average grade is 3.17, which is very much in the kill zone for me. The company is the 100th highest rated company of the 927 companies that I looked at. So it's a very, very solid company. So if you watch the tweet that I posted back on May 5th, where I decided that I was buying this stock, I sold all of my Disney stock and I bought this in another company. And so I wanted to talk about why, because I think it's an interesting thing to look at. If you look at my analysis for Disney, which you can find posted, and I'll figure out how to maybe post that in the comments below, but you'll find that Disney has a rating of 3.48, which is extraordinarily high. EA Sports, which maybe is the top 3 or 4% of companies that I've looked at. EA Sports, however, their rating is 3.17. So how do I justify selling Disney and buying EA Sports? If you look at so there's a quantitative approach to looking at stocks and there's a qualitative approach to looking at stocks. And by stocks, I mean companies. In the quantitative approach, Disney seems that it would be better in almost every way, but there's a qualitative approach that I want to talk about. So if you think about it, Disney makes money in a few key ways. First of all, they have parks, right? So they have these giant amusement parks that we've all heard of: Disneyland, Disney World, Disney Shanghai, Disney Paris, Disney Tokyo, Disney Hong Kong, I believe. The list goes on and on. Then they have cruise ships. They have something like 20,000 people are on a Disney cruise ship at any given time. I think they have 5 cruise ships, or maybe they have 4 and they're building 1 or 2 more. But that's a very, very big business. Disney Resorts. People aren't aware of this, but Disney Resorts at Disney World alone has 36,000 hotel rooms. That's a gigantic real estate portfolio of hotel rooms. They also own, people don't realize necessarily that they own ESPN. They also make movies. So here's my problem with Disney as I look at all those things. If I had to come up with a company that was the least well-prepared and least well-positioned company to deal with a national global pandemic, it would be Disney. I don't think that there's any chance that Disney in California, for example, is opening anytime soon. California is too restrictive and people are too concerned about the virus. So I don't think they're opening. So that means that huge income stream has been shut down. And even if they were to open up in, let's say, July, they've lost half the summer. Additionally, Disneyland is a once-in-a-lifetime vacation for a lot of people. For example, when I was a kid, we went to Disneyland once when I was growing up. And it was a big deal, but my parents scrimped and saved to get the money to go to Disneyland that year, because it's a big deal. You got to travel, you got to stay in hotel rooms, the parks are not cheap. And so I don't think that when people aren't working and people are out of work and this pandemic is going on, that many people are going to go. So people aren't going to go for health reasons. They're not going to go because the government has shut it down. And they're not going to go because they don't have the money. So that's a horrible position for Disney to be in. And a huge part of the revenue comes from the parks. I think that's effectively a zero for this company. Cruise ships, same thing. No one's taking a cruise, and we've all heard stories about being stranded at sea with cruise ships. It's going to be a long time before the cruise industry recovers. The resorts, well, the only reason you would ever stay at a Disney resort, which is frankly overpriced, is because it's so convenient to the hotel and it allows you preferred access to the resort. But once you decide you're not going to the resort, you're not staying in the hotel. So that industry is devastated. ESPN, which is a gigantic business for Disney, publishes, watches, views as an outlet to study sports, to watch sports, to enjoy sports. And there's no sports anywhere in the world, so ESPN is getting killed. Disney makes movies. Well, you can watch movies at home, but you can't go to the theater, so that's going to hurt them. So you add all that up and go, wow, Disney is in big trouble. Even though they're a fantastic company, they've got all of these headwinds, and these headwinds I think are going to persist for some period of time in the future. EA, on the other hand, makes video games. You can download them, play 100% of them at home. You don't ever need to leave your house, assuming you have an internet connection, to buy EA Sports games. And you can play them online with your friends. So even though you're quarantined, you put on a headset and you're still hanging out with your friends. So that's a fantastic dichotomy. I mean, Disney makes $11 billion a year in profit. But to do it, they need 233,000 employees. And the amazing thing is that virtually none of those 233,000 employees can work from home. They have to work at the park, or they have to work at a sporting event for ESPN, or they have to work on a cruise ship or work in the resorts. And so they can't work anywhere but for work. So most of those 233,000 employees are unemployed, have been laid off, right? EA, on the other hand, earns $3 billion, but they do it with 16,200 employees. And the vast majority of those employees are able to work from home. And so EA Sports will continue to be productive through this and probably make more money. The other thing is that, a trip to Disneyland might cost $5,000. By the time you food, hotels, the park, travel, etc. You can experience EA's products for $60. You can go buy Madden NFL for $60, and you can play hundreds of hours of entertainment on that game. And if you have a series of 5 or 6 games, it can really keep you busy through an entire quarantine. So, long story short, even though quantitatively Disney is a better company, qualitatively EA Sports is the better buy. And that's the kind of thing that you have to understand. If you just look at stocks and you try and come up with this magic bullet, people have emailed me and said, hey, can you send me your spreadsheet because I'd like to use that. The problem is, even if I gave you that spreadsheet, that doesn't tell you the whole story. And what I hope you'll understand is that you first have to understand the numbers, of course. Then you have to run them through the filter of what makes sense. What do you believe is going to work or not believe? Now, for the record, since I sold Disney, it's gone up, and EA Sports has gone up more marginally. But I don't buy stocks for what's going to happen in the next month. I buy stocks for what's going to happen in the next year or maybe longer. So I'm very comfortable that a year from now, EA Sports will have outproduced Disney, even relative to the price at which I purchased it.